All right, and we're live. Sorry, guys. 7:03. I apologize for being a little bit late, but you'll see why in a little bit. Okay. So tonight is bait fishing with Roman and Bryan, or with Bryan and Roman, whichever way you want to put it. Bryan volunteered to share some of his time and knowledge with us, and so we are co-hosting this Wednesday episode of bait fishing with Roman and Bryan. So without further ado, let me bring Bryan in for the side-by-side shot. Here we go. You ready for this? Are you ready for this? Here we go. Boom. What up? How's it going, Bryan?
Hey, what's up? How are you guys?
Doing
awesome.
well.
Glad to be here again. Super excited to be on Wednesday to talk about one of my favorite things, fishing.
Excellent. Excellent. So I'm adjusting your volume a little bit over here. Cool. You sound good. You sound good. Did you bring your drink?
Of course I brought my drink.
Oh, good. Okay. So I'm going to put you on first while I run to get my drink, because I was working up, as you know, to the very last. I went over my time 2 minutes. So if you guys saw that,
grab it.
If you guys saw that transition between going from my screen to this split screen, check this out. I'll put Bryan on real quick so you can do his pop top while I go get my drink. Here we go. Check this out. Let's see. Where is it? Full screen. And you're here. Should be good. Oh, I love that. Go for it. You have the floor for a couple minutes.
All right, right on. Hey guys, what's up? Talking bait fishing tonight. And tonight, I know I'm a huge wimp and I never show up with any cool drinks. I'm drinking sparkling water. Yes, that's because me and Roman, that's the way we roll. So I've choked on the past couple of times doing this. Hopefully this time goes good. If you guys notice, no, I'm not selling knives. I've gotten a microphone, hopefully, so you guys can hear me a little better. I know it kind of looks like I'm trying to sell you guys timeshares wearing this thing, but hey, I'm trying to make my audio better. It looks kind of funky, but here it is. I'll see if I can get used to it. So I haven't even opened it yet, Roman. I'm rambling over here.
Oh, perfect. No, that's good. I'm super proud of you, Bryan. I didn't tell you this earlier, but I want to tell you in front of all the guys. You've really been stepping up and putting up the effort. I know it's like even investing a little bit into the production. So your quality, the video quality is significantly better. Your audio is going to be this setup is going to be way better. So thank you for doing that.
Awesome. I know it doesn't sound like your professional grade mic, but hey, we're working with it. We may go with this, we may go with something else, but it's I guess a work in progress here. So Here I go. Let's see how it sounds on the new mic.
Oh, nice. You're gonna get extra points for ruining the mic.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's so good.
There goes $50, right?
Awesome. All right. Rate. Go ahead and put the rate on the in the chat, guys.
I think I've got a 0 1 week and a 1 or 2 the next week. So let's see how the new mic sounded.
Right.
Hopefully I got a 1 or 2.
So funny. Oh, that's good. You got an 8 from Captain Dad gave you a 4.
Finally.
Captain Dad gave you a 4. That's so mean.
It's tough, man.
Oh man. Aiden's rough. He gave you a 1. Oh, here we go.
Thanks,
here we
Aiden.
go. Here we go. TV gave you 9.7. There you go. Tyler gave you a 6.
Thank you.
Extra point for the splash, says Cal.
I'm the rookie, guys.
So you got an 8 plus an extra point for the splash. That's a 9. There you go. 7.
I'm working on it.
825 7. Cool. Nice one. All right, I'm gonna cheat, guys. Here we go. I'm gonna adjust this mic here a little bit. Here we go. Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Damn, that was
just can't compete with that mic, dude.
That was
awesome.
That was crispy. I just turned up the mic to full blast. I'm gonna be the pop.
I won't be outdone.
I'll be the pop top champion with an asterisk for boosting my signal. Once Bryan gets good at pop topping, I'm gonna lower his mic.
I'm gonna buy the most expensive mic I can find just to get that 10. That's just the way I am.
That's hilarious. JB Fishing, what up, dude? You gave me a 1. So a 1 is the worst score.
Yeah.
A 10 is the best score. So Salty gave me a 10. There you go. Thanks, Salty. Yeah, I had a nice hiss and pop. So cheers, guys. Cheers, Bryan.
Cheers, guys.
Alrighty, so, yeah, I'm excited about the transitions, guys. I've been trying to step up my my Twitch game, and that forced me to learn a bunch of stuff about OBS, which is the software I use anyway to broadcast. And I realized I can do a bunch of cool stuff. Like, check this out. I can, if I switch scenes now to Bryan or any scenes, we get this cool transition. Watch. Oh, it's so cool. Sorry.
I don't get to see it. So.
Oh, dude,
I saw it earlier. I know what
layer.
it is. It's Fishy hour wipe, right? That's awesome.
That's hilarious.
If I tried to do that on a computer, it would probably take me a month.
I
have no idea where to even start.
I was following a tutorial. I would have been done like 30 minutes before the show, but then that software crashed and I had to start over. I was like, nah.
Oh no.
Anyway, cool.
Yeah.
So let's
awesome. The production level keeps going up and up.
I know. We gotta keep stepping it up. I'm gonna add more. Once I have more time and I can really play with it. So it's cool. It's one piece of software that I've always been afraid to tackle. Adobe After Effects. It's like another level. It's like Photoshop and Premiere stuck together, and you can make shapes move around and do all kinds of stuff. And it's pretty cool software. It's powerful. But anyway, so you're gonna see a lot of motion graphic stuff in my upcoming videos because I'm gonna be I want to get good at that. So
I don't know if my Chromebook could run that program. It might struggle. And top that with my Ramona internet.
Oh, it's hilarious.
I like that new screen you got in the back. That bit chasing the macro. That's awesome.
Let me go to full screen over here. So here we go. Oh, my mic is covering it for them. There we go, guys. When I was planning this, I thought it would be right over my shoulder, but it didn't work out because the mic's here.
That's pretty cool.
So I have the halibut chasing the mac.
That it looks like he's staring at him. That's exactly what happens too, I think.
Pouncing on him. It's awesome.
Yep.
Cool. All right, guys. So today we have the normal plan. Sorry, the plan from last week was to do some A-rig talk, and we're going to do that. That's our second item or third item.
Well, if you want to start off, I wanted to start off talking about Saturday night. We all went out.
Perfect.
You know? I wanted to give a little bit of my input on Saturday night. It was an awesome outing. I think we had about 12 or 13 boats out there, which to me, I think that might be the biggest outing we've had. Or not boats, sorry, kayaks.
Kayaks, yeah.
And boats.
We call them boats too, because we like to feel special.
Sure. So I think we had 3 official boats and I think 10 kayakers. And we got there and we were waiting for everybody to get there. So we're kind of fishing right out front of Shelter Island, right in front of that beach. And it was pretty stale, man. We didn't get a lot of fish right there. And while we were waiting, and I started testing out the color theory there.
Oh, cool.
And the guys on Discord could hear my frustration because I think I fished for about an hour and I didn't get anything. So I'm like, of course, first thing I do is like, these colors aren't working. So, but I ended up getting 1 or 2 spotties there, I think, right before you showed up. And we decided to head out. But weird thing for me is I don't normally fish at night. So it's last time I fished at night was I think like a year ago, 4th of July. So I never go out at night. I don't know why. I'm just kind of a daytime fisherman. But the thing I noticed that handicapped me immensely was not having the sense of sight. Like I'm so visual fishing. When I cast it out, I like to see it hit the water, exactly where it hit land. I watch my line to see when it goes slack. I have all these visuals I do on the cast. And when we went out, not only was it dark, but it was super foggy.
Yeah.
So every time I cast, I'm just like, I could cast and I'm like, okay, I don't know where it went. I think it went that way. I don't know if it was cast. I couldn't see my line go down. So it was really, really making me struggle because it took away like the sense I use most, which is like my vision. So
interesting.
It was weird. It made me struggle not being able to fish how I normally do, which is watching the line, watching where it hits. And it's kind of hard to target something. I don't know. It was hard for me to target something when I couldn't see it very good. So I struggled a lot at night, but I kind of started adapting. We left that once everybody got there. We went over to the bait barge. And I hadn't fished there for a while. It's not somewhere I fish a lot because during the day, there's so many things going on over there. I don't usually go over there. And the water was, 40, 7 feet deep, I think, pretty deep.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And when we first got there, the current wasn't so bad, but by like an hour or two into it, the current was just ripping through that area.
Yep.
And I saw Jet. He was pulling in some sand bass. I think he was using 2 baits, and Salty, and everybody was kind of catching sand bass. And I was like, oh, what am I doing? You know, I'm kind of struggling here. And I know Roman was like, it's finally Bryan's struggling. It's funny to see him struggle. I'm struggling over there. I'm trying to figure it out. I got me a small sand bass. I got like a 14 or 16 in the boat. So I'm like, oh, thank God, I got a fish. Good. And then I got another one, and I got it like right to the edge of the boat, and it hit the boat and flopped back in. So I got 1.5.
That's hilarious.
And to get those 2 fish, I don't know what's with that area, but you're losing some lures. You go over there and you get on that drift. There, I don't know what's on the bottom down there, if it's rocks or cables or shopping carts. I don't know what's down there, but you lose lures. I lost 2 1-ounce cool baits right off the bat, just drifting, dragging them, lost them. And then I switched to a 2-ounce, and it was about 11 o'clock, and we were just starting to talk about going in, and I got that 2-ounce, and it was a whole different feel. That thing got all the way down to the bottom, and I could really feel it. So I was able to feel that 2-ounce, and I was able to get it. And then I got my huge fish. I got a lucky strike. It was a 2-ounce cool bait with a 6-inch swim bait tied behind it. And I pulled it in, and I actually got I think it was, I'll have to look. I don't quite remember. I think that was my PB sand bass. It was 21.5 inches long, and it was 4.84 pounds,
wow.
which is awesome for a bass in the bass world. So I was happy to get that. So
give me the weight again. The weight?
It was 21.5 inches long and 4.84 pounds.
Dude, that's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good fish. I was happy to get it. So that night turned out awesome. I know Salty, I think, got his PB spotty too, and maybe a few other people got some really good fish. So it turned out to be an awesome outing, guys. But the thing I took in from it is fishing at night is a whole different deal than fishing during the day. I totally lost my sense of sight.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a very good point. Like when I fish at night with the camera system, basically have a light in your face, right? So when I fish at night in stream, I'll have my hat and the lights up here, so it covers my eyes, so I can still kind of see. But for the most part, you're staring into the darkness past the light, and it's hard to like see where the lure lands. You know, like
it's hard because you don't see it hit the water, and then I can't see my line how it's laying on the water. And more in the shallow areas that affected me, not so much because the bait barge had Christmas lights all the way down it, so it was pretty light over there.
Yeah.
And then also, I want to also give props to John, dude.
Yeah.
The guy who comes out and he stopped fishing for like an hour to serve us all like hot food, hot dogs, all right off his boat. So awesome, John. Thanks, man. That really made the night for a lot of us.
Yeah.
We all got to pull up and get a hot dog handed to us right off his boat. So that was cool, man. Thanks.
That's super awesome. That definitely leveled up the group outing for sure. Oh, man. That's great.
Yeah, dude. That was cool.
Awesome.
How often does that happen? Never.
All right. Okay, so let's okay, so we want to do a update to the science project, guys. So we're basically gonna have you guys call in with we're gonna call it like 10-second reports, okay? So just call. I'm gonna put the number on the screen. You're gonna call in and you're gonna say, "This is Leonard," and what do you need from us for the report?
I want you guys that all call in and that participated in the science project. Come in. You don't have to do a lot of talking. I'm not going to ask any questions. I just want to see, okay, hey, my name, I caught this fish, this mini fish, or this fish on this color swim bait with this type of jig head, so that I can now start updating our science board here. And while we're waiting for phone calls, I'm going to go ahead and I guess go over what I got on it. So Saturday night, I'm throwing that out because there was too many variables. It's not how I normally fish. So I'm not going to even include the science for Saturday night for that because it's also nighttime fishing. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to go. I actually went back to Mission Bay the very next morning, met Salty out there and fished all day. So I actually went to make the science correct how I normally fish Mission Bay to figure out if color makes a difference. Oh, and I guess if you didn't see last week's show, I should probably tell you what we're doing. So I created.
I'm gonna go full screen here in a second. Okay.
Okay. Can you see that good?
Yeah.
Okay. So I created this board of MC swim baits. These are just a little over 3 inches long. And I have a theory of all of us are fishing these natural colors pretty much. And what the science I'm trying to figure out is, does color matter? So for the next 4 to 6 weeks, however long this takes me, I'm going to fish the wacky colors or the unnatural colors and see if it makes any difference on my fishing for what color I'm fishing. So I'm staying away from my old faithfuls, which are these natural colors right here, and only fishing those. And that's what I'm gonna. That's how we're gonna try to prove science here. And I'm trying to get you guys to participate in this also. So this weekend, let me grab my notes. This weekend, I fished two different lures. I fished the number 11 and the number 4, the purple basically, and the bright orange. And I fished those both on cool baits. And let me show the exact setup I used. So I fished it on this rod and reel, cool baits. The orange I fished with a 1/2 ounce underspin. And the purple, oh, that's not it. The purple I fished with a 3/8 underspin on my Stratic reel. So that's how I fished them both this weekend. And my numbers were, I actually caught 31 fish with these wacky colors. So believe it or not, actually I shouldn't say that. I caught 31 fish total on Sunday. So I did throw the A-rig though. 10 of those fish were caught on the A-rig. And the A-rig I used did have natural colors on it. I can't resist it, guys.
Okay,
if I bring this out, if I bring it out, it's like a magnet to me. I have to throw that A-rig. I don't know why. I love fishing that thing. But for just a single swim baits, I caught 21 of them on those 2 swim baits. 13 of them were on the purple with a 3/8, and 8 of them were on the orange with a 1/2 ounce. So they do catch fish, guys, believe it or not. And the orange one actually got me 2 calicos, 1 sand bass, and 5 spotties. And the purple one got me all spotties. So I don't know if those.
Interesting.
I don't know if the sand bass and calicos maybe are looking for those brighter colors, but they're the ones that got the oddball fish. And I got 1 halibut on the A-rig, but it was the tiniest thing you've ever seen. I couldn't even believe it bit that thing. So I guess my science is here's our first numbers on the board. I've caught 13 fish on this and 8 fish on that. So,
interesting.
So they do work. So I don't know. My average, I think I said last week, is about 25 to 50 fish. 50 being a ridiculously good day,
right.
25, 30 about an average. So the average was there. I caught about the same amount of fish on that color as I do on these colors.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So I'll do my report, and then so what do we need these guys to call in and say?
I want them to call in and basically give me the report. If they fished a weird color, I'd like them to tell me what color they fished,
okay,
what they fished it on, and what fish did they catch with it.
All right, cool. So I'll start. So I switched to color number 12, which is the all black with the red sparkly belly.
Oh, okay.
All right, number 12.
Number 12.
Okay, so I switched to number 12. I went to the Daniel Landing boat, the Daniel Landing market, and I bought 8 of them. Okay.
Okay.
I fished 1, and I caught 1 fish on it, and I also, and then I would have got a second fish, but it just bit through the whole thing. It just bit it in half, right behind the hook.
Okay.
So that's not a catch, but it was a solid bite. It could bit through the whole bait. So I don't know.
And was that like over a long period? Did you fish all day?
I fished it, I would say 20 to 30% of my session. So about an hour or 2. No, about an hour.
So you caught 1 fish on this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think that's my average when I fish swim baits like this. Yeah, I think I just caught just 1 fish on it. Yeah, because then I switched over to
One
Ned rig
fish.
stuff.
So you're pretty close to your average on that. What color do you normally fish?
I think it's 16.
Okay, yeah.
It's like the all
that's
natural.
a really popular one.
Yeah,
So a natural one.
Yeah, gray with the it's like a gray / black top with a opaque body.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I guess you may have a little bit of a slow day, but it still caught a fish. So hey, caught a fish.
Right. So and like I don't do that well with the but the one thing to note, and I know it's a lot more variables, I fished the riprap, or like I positioned my kayak so that I was fishing parallel to the riprap instead of casting towards shore like before. So remember we talked about that. So I kind of applied that last night, and that's when I caught that fish. That's also when I got bit off.
So and you don't fish swim baits a lot, right?
I don't. Nope. Mostly Ned.
So I fish them tons. So maybe that's why my number's a little higher. I've really got those things down. But if you're new to fishing swim baits, I mean, even if you just get one, it still proves that color can catch a fish.
Exactly. Plus whatever bit it off. So it was really going for it, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I know that doesn't count as a fish, but if it was a solid bite. So that attracted other fish, I guess.
Okay, cool. And if you guys don't want to call in, I can understand. Maybe just put it in your chat.
Okay, I'm gonna put the number up first before we give them option B. Option A, guys, is for you to call in.
Option A. So option A is what I want.
I don't have a scene set up with both of us and the phone number, so I'm gonna just copy the phone number real quick. I'll be right back. I mean, we're still gonna be on, but so I'll switch over. Okay, what's number? Scene. I need the overlay.
And we're only going to spend probably 5 more minutes on this because we got a lot to talk about with the A rig. But I want to do this, maybe not every week, but if you guys could keep track, just so in 4 weeks or 6 weeks, I can actually compile my data and we could put out the science if it does make a difference. I'm just curious.
So no, it's perfect. Okay, guys. So I just put the phone number on the screen on our shared screen. Dial that number, and we'll start to take roll call. It might take a long time to do it this way, but at least let's try it. Okay, if you've been fishing the oddball color that you chose last week, call us so we can know what color you're fishing and how many fish you caught on it, and if that's normal for you. That's the only 3 things we need. What color you're trying out, what color you used to use a lot, and then how many fish you caught on it. And is that normal?
And I'm trying to think of what I'm going to fish this week. So I don't know. I'm trying to pick like the one I totally do not think. And I think what I'm going to go for is this one, number 1, this bright pink thing. I like to fish 2 at a time. So I think I'm going to choose this one, bright pink. And I'm going to do bright pink and solid pink.
Nice.
Or pink with a little red dot. I'm going to do 6 and 1 this week just to see.
Oh, perfect.
Just to see how the pink ones do.
Here we go. Sorry, no swim baits last weekend. Okay, good. All right. So it looks like a lot of people didn't really fish this weekend besides on our outing. Okay. So we're gonna. Okay. If you guys want to add that information to the chat, put science or project in all caps, and then put those stats. Fished this bait, caught this many, usually catch this many. That's it. Okay.
And cool. I'll go through the chat later, and I'll update the board, and I'll figure that out for you guys.
Okay, cool. But make sure you guys put project in all caps, so it's easier for us to find those chats. Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna take that.
I think the data will be better if we all participate, or get more numbers I get, the better.
Yeah, I think so. And also I think it's a lot of. Oh, here we go. We have a call coming in. So it says.
Fresh one.
Okay, let me get them on the.
Love that ring.
There we go. Hey, what's up? This is Fishy Hour. How you doing?
Hey, this is Zach.
What's up, Zach? How you doing?
I cannot hear him.
So, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but Bryan can't hear you. So that's something I need to fix. I haven't messed with that before. Okay, go for it.
So I'm still really new to this. So I have no other fish,
Oh, to compare it to.
That I can
Got it.
Or any other new bait that I can say that I've done, but I used a green and red one, which I thought was the Christmas one, but I'm not really sure.
Okay, is it green on top and red on the bottom?
It was green on top and red on the bottom.
Green on.
And I caught 3 fish over 3 days.
Number
in
5.
3 completely different areas.
Okay. Caught 3 fish over 3 days on green top, red bottom.
Yeah.
3 fish over 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was
I was
his
using
average? What did he normally catch?
Oh, he's new to fishing, so he doesn't have an average yet.
Oh,
Normally it's
okay.
0.
Normally it's 0.
so I mean, so it caught a fish. So
Caught a fish, yeah.
I'm going to count that as 3
Yeah.
fish.
Perfect.
He doesn't have an average, but it's still
It's
a
good.
hot
It's a good
fish,
stats.
so.
Okay, so good. So we got your stats down. Thanks for calling in, Zach. This is
Yep.
perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
All right.
Zach.
Good talking to you. Bye-bye. Okay, so he hung up, and now I have to figure out. Oops, sorry guys. I have to figure out the. Put the phone number back up. Okay, phone number is back up. If anybody else wants to call and give a quick report, otherwise put it in the chat. So Cal says I'll be fishing number 11 in the morning, but he hasn't caught any on that yet. Let's see. Right, Hyder says didn't fish swim baits last weekend. Will participate this weekend. Cool. All right, Hyder.
Cool.
Hyder, do you need to see the chart? It's in Discord. Also on @Bryan Likes to Fish on Instagram. He has a picture of the board, so you can choose a color off that board. They're all MC swim baits. No affiliation, none of that stuff. It's just that they're so readily available in all the shops here locally that we figured that's the best way to do it. And Cody says, "Oh, here we go. I caught a fish on 2 largemouths." that's Aiden. He's we're messing around. Science. He says fished A-rig, blue colors, 14 and 4 sand bass on. So blue colors. Blue colors.
I'm assuming he means 14 and maybe 2.
He says 14 and 4.
14 and 4. Okay, but he means purple then.
Oh, I'm
Blue
sorry.
and purple.
Color number 14, and he caught 4 sand bass on and 2 halibut. Okay, got it. So color number 14,
Uh-huh.
and he caught 4 sand bass and 2 halibut on Saturday.
Okay, I'm keeping halibut separate. So
All right,
I'm
perfect.
gonna,
Make circles or
I'm gonna mark
something.
the halibuts down here.
Oh, got it. Okay. And then
Cool. So that was our first halibut catch on an oddball. So cool.
you got 2 that day.
Two halibuts?
halibut. Yep.
Okay.
On the
2
oddball. Okay,
halibuts.
cool. More than average for me for the duration of time. I fished the swim baits 2 hours. Cody, excellent report, dude.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cody. That's awesome.
Perfect.
So, the blue catches fish.
Yeah.
What do you know?
Right.
I know a really good fisherman that I take out sometimes, and he fishes
Here we go.
blue all the time.
We got another caller. Here we go.
Yes.
Oops, well, here we go. Welcome to Fishy Hour. Thanks for calling in the science time. Science hour.
Hey, it's Leonard.
Hey, what up, Leonard?
How's it going?
Pretty good.
On
What's up, Leonard?
Saturday, I fished number 4,
Okay, Saturday, Leonard fished number 4.
and I caught
Okay, purple.
bodies on number 4.
How many?
2,
2 spotties on number 4 on Saturday.
and I had one really big bite that pantsed it.
Ooh, and one really big bite that pantsed it. So the bites don't
Okay.
count, but it's good. No, I guess. Perfect.
And how long
And
did
then
he fish
also
it,
I
and
fished
what is his
the-
normal average
How long did you fish it? And what is your normal average?
in that amount of
I
time?
fished it until we got to the bait barge.
Okay, so basically the Saturday night he fished until we got to the bait barge.
Okay,
And I
so
fished
maybe
the-
an hour and a
the
half or
black
so.
and red.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, an hour and a half. Good.
And then I fished,
All right,
I
cool.
think it's number 12,
And that's
the
his.
black
It's
and
3. It's 2.5 his normal average.
No, hang on a sec. He also fished the black and red.
Red. Yeah, and I caught 1 sand bass on that.
1 sand bass on the black and red. The 12. And
Great.
how long did you fish all this
My
for?
average is pretty much the whole night.
Okay, so you fished the black and red the whole night basically. And then what's your normal average for that time frame?
Probably like 5
Okay.
to 7, something like that.
Okay, so it's right in there then.
Yeah.
No, it's less than.
Yeah, it's a little less.
Okay, so it's a little less than his average. Perfect. So he said yeah, okay, good. So good. Awesome, Leonard.
Awesome, Leonard. Thanks so much for calling in with that info.
We're doing science over here.
No problem.
Yeah, we are. We're trying.
Thanks. Bye-bye, Leonard. Cool.
So the weird thing is, to me, it sounds like everybody's still catching about the same average on these wacky colors that we normally don't fish. So let's see how next week goes. But so far, I think the results are what I hypothesize, which it may make no difference what color you fish.
Right. So here we go. Ed Mann says he got for the project. He didn't use the MC swim bait, but he used another swim bait.
That's fine.
He caught
as
one.
long as it's one you normally use.
It's one. Okay, so he caught one spotty on a pink color big hammer, but he averages four in an hour of hitting the docks, and he caught one. Ed, was that
on the which?
On the pink.
The bright pink.
On the pink.
Okay, I'm gonna assume he means like a solid pink one like this. So
yeah, probably because it's a big hammer one. Solid pink.
He caught four on that.
No, he caught
his average is.
He caught one, but his average is 4 in 2 hours.
Okay, so the pink didn't work so well, but it still caught a fish.
Yes.
It didn't skunk him.
Right.
Okay.
That's interesting.
So I think that's the first person that had their average taken down. So, hey, maybe when I fish pink this week, I might have the same results. We'll see.
Oh, why is this guy being... Why is Aiden being a fool over here? Let's see. Put in timeout. All right, Aiden just got... You got it. Got it, dude. All right, Doug. That's weird because these guys are saying that the video's choppy. Blank screen. Weird. Interesting. That's weird. I'm not seeing any shenanigans over here. Usually it gives me an error if something's wrong, but I'm sorry guys if you're experiencing issues.
No, you look like you're coming across fine on my screen.
It's weird. Okay, so let's keep it going. Video keeps freezing, says on Apple phones. I'm okay on smart TV or computer. Interesting.
I think you're okay.
Maybe Apple put out an update. Maybe Apple put out an update to slow down our phones again. Oh. All right, cool. Let's keep it going. Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys continue the reports by doing them over the chat, because otherwise we're gonna run out of time to get into this A-rig setup. Okay. So let's go into the A-rig stuff or the next topic.
Yeah, awesome, guys. So I wanted to talk about the A-rig. If you don't have no clue what an A-rig is, it looks like this guy right here, which looks almost like a chandelier you'd see at the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland or something. It's a crazy lure. But the A-rig was invented by Andy Poss, and he was actually watching Blue Planet, and he saw a tuna chasing a school of sardines, and it came up with this idea of the A-rig, which is to, I guess, mimic a school of fish.
That's awesome.
Sitting on his couch watching TV, he came up with this. So in July of 2011, Andy went out to his garage and made one of these, his first prototype. And he fished it for about 17 months and basically tried to perfect it, make it better. And he was actually a bass angler, and he would enter in tournaments, and he entered this in a tournament. And it was kind of the first time that the bass world freshwater fishing world, bass world had seen something like this. And he actually won the tournament, and he won it. He basically lapped second place.
Wow.
He got first place in the tournament, and he beat second place by 17 pounds.
Wow.
First time he fished this in the tournament. So once he did that, everybody's like, well, okay. And he continued to fish it in a few more tournaments and ended up killing it again and again. And people were like, well, we just can't compete against this thing. You know, it's if we're not fishing that, we're not going to win because he's killing it. So shortly after that, it was the only lure that has ever been banned that I know of from the BASS, which is the Bass Series tournament, and the FLW Bass Series tournament. This was actually banned from those tournaments. And as far as I know, it's the only lure that's ever been banned from those tournaments because they felt if everybody's just going to fish this.
Interesting. That's why people get all burnt out. That's where like the negativity towards it comes from in tournaments, right?
I don't know.
There's a little bit of that. Go ahead.
Like in our saltwater bass series, these are fine to use.
Yeah.
But we're not fishing for $10,000. We're not making a living out of this. We're just out there having fun taking pictures. So it got banned. So bummer for Andy, but he still sells a ton of these because if you're a recreational fisherman like me and Roman here, you can still go buy these things and fish them. I don't consider it a cheater bait. It's not like this thing gets a fish every single cast. It's a fun thing to fish.
It's like every other cast, but I was So Doug's like, where did I get one? and Aaron said it looks like a baby mobile for fish.
Yeah, a lot of people describe it like that.
That's hilarious. Yeah, so good.
So like I said, what this thing's meant to do is mimic a school of fish. When it's coming through the water, it's coming through sideways like this, and all these trailers are behind it, swimming like a fish. And then on top of that, they've added these willow blades that spin too and let off a flash. So if you look at it, it's got all these willow blades here. And I've also got one down here on the bottom and one on every lure around it. So when this thing's going through the bay, it's throwing off flash in every direction, and fish will keen into that. And they're like, what the heck is flashing over there? And they see this big school of fish going over there. So this thing is a really good attractant too for fish that may not be in the exact zone you're at. So that is what an A-rig is. That's a little history of it. It took me a while to figure this out, but there's a lot of people said you could only fish 3 hooks with that legally. And I wanted to come on the show with accurate information. So I got a hold of Fish and Game, and I talked to Scott down there about the A-rig a lot. And what he's told me about this is if you're fishing the bays and saltwater, thank goodness 5 hooks is okay. So awesome if you're a saltwater fisherman, we can fish this fully loaded, all 5 hooks. But there's one stipulation about this fishing out there. If you're fishing for rockfish, you're only allowed 2 hooks. So you're not able to use this to target rockfish, which is probably one of the fish we would target. But you would never target this. You would never use an A-rig to catch rockfish. You would never drop it down there because the second it hit the bottom, it get caught on a rock, and you would never get this back. And this thing's not cheap. So this is not something you're going to use for rockfish anyway. But I just want to let you guys know you cannot fish this for targeting rockfish. And also, if you have rockfish in your boat, and this is rigged up to your pole, he told me, it could be a violation because you're only allowed to use 2 fish for rockfish. So that's the only stipulation. Yeah. I'm sorry, 2 hooks for rockfish, yeah.
Interesting.
So that's the only stipulation that he really discussed in saltwater. But unfortunately for the freshwater guys, you can only use 3 hooks. So if you're fishing San Vicente or any of those other local lakes, 3 hooks is the maximum you can use. You could still fish one of these, but you're going to have to put on the top 2 dummy baits. And what I mean by that is a bait without a hook. So it'll still look like a school of fish and it'll still swim properly. You just have to attach 2 with no hook. And you can do that with I don't know if you can see that, but it's like a screw lock.
Oh, okay.
And let me show you in a box. Maybe that's better. So it's a screw lock, and you just basically screw that thing into the head of the swim bait, and that will hold it to it without a hook. So the top 2 is what I'd recommend, and then 3 hooks for freshwater. So that's the legal stuff on that lure.
Interesting.
So it's awesome we're able to fish those with 5 hooks in the bay, because with the 5 hooks, you got 5 chances catching 5 more chances of catching fish, right?
Exactly. That's
so
good.
There's all kinds of A-rigs on the market. This one right here is the Recon. A lot of us fish it. It's a local company. If somebody local makes something good, I always like to go with a local company. And I know Roman fishes this, and a few other guys fish this brand.
Yeah, they have
it's a great rig.
They have 2 sizes. I think this is XL, right?
This actually is the non-XL.
Okay, so that's a regular size, and they have another one that's slightly bigger. That's the one I usually fish.
Yep.
And I would recommend this size though for like freshwater. And then Paige, Day One Fishing, he makes one that's like with 12-inch arms that he calls a big D. But that's like I'm not sure if he's in production right now. But yeah, for the most part, you can get those at the Cool Bait store, right?
You can get the Recon A-rigs. They do sell them on the Cool Bait webpage. Yes.
Cool. Okay, good. Cool.
Yeah, Paige makes that huge one. I've seen him fish it. I've been trying to get one of those for a year. I don't know what's going on, but I want one of those things. I don't think he's in production with it anymore. Other people make A-rigs. Here's one made by Strike King. They actually use titanium arms on theirs. And when you buy it in a tube. When you open it up, guess what? It just pops right into shape like this.
Oh, right. Awesome.
It's another A rig. I don't fish this one a lot. The arms are pretty soft.
Yeah.
It's made out of titanium. I mean, it's a pretty good A rig.
Can I see the head of it? Can I see the face of it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this A rig works well if you have all of the hooks in place, but if you don't, if you're gonna, for example, if you want to fish it with 3 hooks and 2 what are they called, dummy baits, that one's not gonna track well because the face is set up so that it has one on top and one on the bottom instead of like a square. It swims like like a diamond instead of a square.
Yep.
Right? So that's why I don't like the ones with the little face on there, unless it's set up to fish like a square. And I don't know if I'm describing that. Yeah, there you go. Hold it up.
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Oh, cool. Okay, go for it.
So, yeah, this one fishes basically, if you're looking at this face on, it has one on the bottom, one on the right and left, and one on the top.
Yep. So what I like to do is put the blades on top instead of the dummies for the 2, and then the bottom have hooks and the back has a hook. But with these kind, I can't do that because it'll swim sideways or something. Yeah.
Yeah, they actually put a swivel on the front of these so that they can swim like that. But that's the Strike King one. That's the one they sell at Bass Pro Shop. They sell at Walmart, wherever you go. That's probably the one you're going to see.
Yeah.
The Recon one is basically online only that I know of. I'm not sure if any shops are carrying it at this point, but there's a few that are like this, but this is the style I like. And when you buy this guy, guess what? It comes looking like this. It comes nothing like this. So you got to put in a little bit of work to get it to look like this.
Yep.
So I'm going to open this one, a fresh one, and I'm going to show fresh one. Show you how I bend it, how I rig it. I'm going to bring out, guess what? The whiteboard.
So shift over a little bit more to your right. There you go. Perfect. Now you got the full board in there. Good.
Okay. So the way I like to rig mine so that it's almost like a number 5 on a dice. So you got 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top, and you got the long one out the back right here in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And something that took me a while to figure out about this A-rig is that the eye, the front of it, where you connect your line to.
Yep.
When you bend this thing, you want that straight up and down. So the eye of it, this part right here, you want that straight up and down. So when you bend them, when you pull this thing through the water, if you bend it and when you get them all in the shape you want, and that eye is not lined up perfectly down the middle of this, it'll actually turn it a little. Because when you start reeling, this eye wants to pull up, and it goes right to, I guess, up and down. Does that make sense? Straight up and down. So when you bend this thing, you want to hold that eye so that it's flat, so that when you bend it, you get those out at that angle you're looking for. Because if you just open this up and bend it, you may not have leveled it out with that eye. Does that make sense, Roman?
It does. It does. So you want to be mindful of the angle, because it'll I guess it'll mess the way it tracks, right?
Yeah. So the eye of it, the front of it, you want that line to be pulling straight up.
Yep.
So that you want this thing pointing straight up and down when you bend it. So you bend it this way and this way. If I had it sideways, so the eye's like that,
yeah, and
I bend it this way, yeah, when I pull on the line, it's gonna twist it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so
it took me.
I'm not doing that. I'm just like randomly stretching them out. So I learned something today.
And don't worry about it, because if you didn't do it, these things, I mean, you don't want to tweak them too much, but like this one right here, you could go back and tweak them a little bit. And you're going to have to do that while you fish these things too, because they'll get snagged, or you get a fish and he'll get all wrapped in there and he'll bend it a little.
But so you want to
if you've done that, it's not ruined. Like I can see this one, this is straight up and down. I need to adjust this one over a little. You can bend them and adjust them on the fly too. So you haven't ruined it. But if you're starting out, you got a freshie, you just spent $12 on this guy, and you want to try to do it perfectly. That's how I start out, with this thing pointing straight up and down. And then, I don't know if it's going to zoom in this tight.
It will. Just hold it up a little bit. Put your hand behind it.
Okay. It's got like a little ceramic, like first inch of it. It's like this. It's hard
like shrink wrap.
Like shrink wrap, but it's really hard.
Yep.
And you got to be careful with that. If you go to bend these guys way up high by that, it could actually crack that and loosen these up. So when you bend them, you want to come about a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch down from that and start your bend so that you don't crack this stuff. And if you crack it, they're just a little looser. I think it'll last a little longer if you bend them a little bit down. And it's an expensive bait. You want to try to take your time on this thing. And also rotate it around. These things, there's like top ones and bottom ones. So when you bend it, you want to make sure you isolate the long one, which is this guy right here. And this is going to be your center one, which is this guy right here, the center of the dot. So you want to isolate that one. You want to see where that one is. And then you want to figure out which one looks like it's going to bend up, because there's usually 2 on the bottom and 2 on the top, and you've got to find those 2. So I've got mine pointing straight up and down. And this guy right here is on top. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to use my thumb about 3/4 of an inch down. And I'm going to bend that into that position. And about 60 degrees, 45 degrees, you can always adjust it later, but that's my first bend. So straight up, I got my first bend. Now I'm going to look in here. Okay, this is the long one. This one's on top, so I'm going to bend this one next. I'm going to bend it at the same spot with my thumb.
Yeah, it's super important that you guys. Yeah, it's super important. Yeah, perfect. It's super important that you look, because sometimes if you're not careful, you end up bending the one that should be going up right to bottom left or something like that, and then now you're across the whole thing and it looks all weird. Doesn't look right.
Yeah, it'll bend up and it'll go wrap over the top ones. So you got to kind of pay attention to it, and it's not the end of the world if you don't get it right. It just looks kind of funky. I don't know if it affects the fishing. It just kind of looks more streamlined. It looks like it's supposed to look this way.
Right.
So I've isolated the back, and now I'm going to go for my bottom 2. And sometimes I'll bend them a little closer, a little further, just to separate them a little bit. So I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go with it a little closer, about a 1/2 inch down. That one looks like it bends right there. So I've got that one. Now I'm going to bend the last one, which is this guy. And I'm going to bend it the same distance, about a 1/2 inch down. So, okay. So if you've done it right, it should look like this. And this is me holding it straight up and down on the eye. So the eye is straight up and down like this. And now these are bent in like a 5-sided dice.
Perfect. I see
and
that.
when the line is hooked to this, now that it's straight up and down like that, it'll pull this so that these 2 are directly on the bottom and these 2 are directly on the top.
Perfect. Okay, so now that brings me to the question. I'm not sure what the next step is, but yeah. So Salty says X-wing.
Dude,
yeah, X-wing status.
I love Star Wars references. So anytime you can slip one in.
That's so good. And then there's a question. Let me see who had this question about. Zach, choosing weights and choosing the size, color, and style. I guess of like the lures. So
Zach, all right. Before we jump to that, I'm gonna point out one little thing before we jump to that. I'm definitely gonna talk about weights though. Okay, I'm gonna go through the whole setup and Perfect. I'm gonna come to the portion of it. So I hope this shows up on camera, but when you buy one, it has these clips. Can you see that?
Yeah, if you hold your hand behind it, there it goes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a clip that
it's like a safety
when
pin.
It opens up. Yeah, kind of like a safety pin. When it opens up, it looks like that.
Yeah, we can see that.
And then you put your bait on it and you close it and it locks.
Yep.
I don't like these. I have pulled this thing up so many times and this clip has been mysteriously opened up somehow and it looks like that. And my bait is just basically dangling on this clip that is opened up. I don't know how they open, but they can open. Okay, so I'm fishing this. I catch my dream 40-inch halibut. What's going to happen here? This thing's going to straighten out, and that fish is gone.
Yeah.
So I'm not a very big fan of this. I know it's an A-rig. We don't swap out baits a whole lot. We might swap out the swim baits, but we're not swapping out the jig heads a lot. So what I end up doing with these is cutting them off. Hold on, I'll get my pliers here. So I take just a pair of pliers, and there's a swivel right above it. You don't want to cut that swivel. We're just cutting we're just cutting.
Hold it over your right shoulder. That way it's because your left shoulder. Yeah, there you go. Basically, I wanted to see against the background because otherwise your shirt it blends into your shirt. There you go.
Okay. Next time I'll wear a white shirt. So
yeah.
So now all it is, I've cut that clip off, and you can see it's just a swivel.
Perfect.
That's what it was on there.
Yep.
Now it's just a swivel. And the swivels on here are pretty good. I haven't had any issues with them. So I'm going to keep that swivel on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace that clip with one of these, which is a split ring. We use these all the time when we're swapping out hooks.
Crankbaits,
when we're modifying our crankbaits or our cold snipers. We use these all the time. So I'll swap out that clip with a split ring.
So these are owner Hyperwire size 3? Yep.
Yes.
Cool.
So this is a number 3. It's rated up to 45 pounds, which is probably bigger than a fish we're ever going to catch in the bay, unless we catch some kind of freak leopard shark or something.
Right.
But sometimes I'll even use the number 2s. They're a little smaller. They're still rated up to 37 pounds, but either of those will work. So I've already put one on. And if you look on the very bottom of this, you can see it's just a split ring down here instead of that clip.
Yep.
And that's much more reliable. And to me, it looks so much cleaner too. I don't know if that affects the fishing, but anytime I can take a giant, ugly piece of hardware like that and replace it with something better that looks like that, I'm going to do it.
Nice.
I know it's money. Not saying I've caught tons of fish on this. The A-rig I fished this weekend was not modified at all. Had all the clips on it. Yep. I caught fish on it. But if I can improve it, I'm going to try to improve it. So that's what I've done on this A-rig. There's one more level too you can go to, which is I lost one of these A-rigs when we were fishing 2 weeks ago, and I was devastated because I had every modification in the world on the thing, and it flew off, and I lost it. But
pimped out A-rig.
If you really want to get to the big leagues, this is the A-rig I normally fish, and I've taken off their factory swivels and putting on Spro swivels with a little bit with a number 2 Hyperwire split ring. So I don't know how much of an advantage it gives you. I don't know if it gives you any advantage.
If it makes you feel better.
Makes you feel better. I don't know. It's shiny. I don't know. I've only been fishing this for a few weeks, so it doesn't seem like it catches any more fish. I don't know. Well, to be determined, I guess. But I swapped it out with Spro saltwater swivels, basically.
Perfect. Yeah.
Factory. So that's about as heavily as I can modify this thing. I can't think of anything else to do. If anybody else does anything to these, let me know. I'd love to know. Type it in the chat.
The only other thing I would do is like, how do you feel about a swivel at the front, at the very top? Or does that affect it?
Earlier with the eye,
yeah,
I like it so I can control it, and
that's
I'm going to get into that. But with the swivel, it's kind of just goes wherever it wants to go. With the eye and the line pulling up, I can control that these 2 are on the bottom, these 2 are on the top.
Yeah, that makes sense.
More than a swivel. But a swivel, a lot of people will use those because you don't get a line twist.
Yeah.
Maybe this thing swims perfectly with the swivel, but this is just the way I fish it. Just straight to it. And it's always one less thing to break too. If you're straight to it, if you add swivel and 2 more rings, there's 3 more things that can break.
Very true. Awesome. That's super cool.
So
okay, go ahead.
This is the setup that I was fishing this weekend. Last weekend, this got a really big spotty on this guy. I got a 2.7 pounder on this thing. So I wanted to talk about these things as far as fishing them goes. When you get into spotty fishing, you'll probably start out with like the grubs and the swim baits and stuff like that. And you'll be slaying it. You'll be catching 10-inch, 9 inches, 12 inches, 13 inches, occasional 14 inches. And then after a long period of time, you're like, okay, I'm catching spotties. I know how to catch spotties. Now, how do I catch the big spotties? I see these guys catching these 17s, these 16s, these 2-pounders. How are they doing it? So just like you guys, my journey began trying to catch spotties. And then once I got pretty good at catching those, I wanted to catch big ones.
Yeah.
I want to go out there and, I'm tired of catching 10-inch fish all day long. What the heck? It's fun, but I want to try to figure out how to catch the bigger ones. And so I was introduced to this guy, and it started getting me some pretty big fish. So I think my theory behind this thing is that if you're a big bass, you're probably 10, 14 years old. They've seen it all. And when they see that one little swim bait swimming by, they're like, I'm not going to chase one fish around. It's a lot of work to catch one fish. But if a big smart spotty sees a school of fish swimming by, I think he thinks in his mind, even in natural, when a big school of fish goes by, it creates a reaction that he's going to chase a school of fish versus just one fish. Because in my mind, it's hard to catch that one rogue fish, and they're used to coming up from the bottom only when they see that big school. So I think, this is just my theory, that they see this, the big ones, and they think it's a school, and they chase it down, and they get it. And many times I've caught 2 big ones on this thing too. So if there's a bait out there and you're looking to try to catch the bigger upper tier spotties, I think this is a good place to start, only because of that theory.
So Roy's got a good question. He says, what about a larger trailer for the middle, like a larger trailer swim bait for like a stinger, basically?
I do that all the time. I don't know why I have it rigged up this way, just because that's the way I did it really quick. But normally I'll have like a 5-inch one back here, or maybe I call it my target bait, because most of the time they hit that. So I try to give them a bigger target in the back. So I do. Was that Roy you said?
Yeah, Roy.
Roy, yeah, I normally do have a bigger one on the back. I just don't on this setup for some reason. And I've already talked about this once before. I always put an oddball one. I don't know why. But it also, I think when they see this swimming by, I think that gives them like a target. I don't know. They see this thing going by and they zone in on one thing and it gives them a target to hit. That makes any sense at all? I don't know. That's just what I think. So thanks for the question. Awesome. If anybody has any questions during this, please, or comments about how you set up your A-rig, please send them in. I'd love to hear them. Right.
So Kevin just popped in. Kevin, we're talking about A-rigs, setting them up. And if you have any questions right now about A-rigs, put it in the chat. Aiden, I'm sorry you're having a hard time today, dude. Stop posting about it. If you want to talk to me, you know how to find me on Discord. We can talk there. Please stop interrupting. Okay, just gonna keep it going. So okay,
go
ahead.
A-rig maintenance. Okay, so when I get this thing home, I wash it because it's steel. So out of the salt water, you want to get this thing at home and wash it. And one thing you got to keep an eye on is they use these crimps right here to hold the willow blades in place. And over time, these things can loosen up. Let me see if one's loose on here. This is my oldest one. It's probably, so these things will loosen up. Let's find one. Here's one that's loosened up. Now see how this blade kind of, it's free swimming. Sometimes this blade will be all the way down here. And it's because this crimp, the crimp right here came loose.
Yeah.
So you have to keep an eye on that. And if it does come loose, you just put it in the place where it's supposed to go, which is right there. And you take a pair of pliers and you just barely squeeze it. I mean, don't squeeze it hard because you'll cut that arm off.
Dude,
and you just
so
barely
good.
squeeze it. That'll give you pressure to keep it in place. And if you want to get really crazy, you can slide these things once they loosen up and recrimp them in different areas. So if you want to have maybe one up here, one down here, you can also adjust those. I like the factory where they put them, so I always put them right there. But I've seen people that have them kind of scattered. I don't know. Fishermen think about a lot of weird things at night. I think one of the things that they're scared is like, how can I make this thing better? So keep an eye on your crimps, guys, because if this is all the way down here and it's just flopping against that swivel, is probably deterring you from catching fish.
Interesting.
So that's a little bit of maintenance on that. Yep. And you can see this one. This one I fished recently, and the blades are already super dull.
Yep.
So once you clean it off, you check your crimps. Also polish these things up. Just take out a little cloth. Super easy. Spend 5 minutes, polish those things up like a mirror, and they'll put off a much better flash.
Much better flash. Yeah. That's so
good.
I
mean, we're investing a lot of money in this thing, so let's take care of it and make sure it's working perfectly every time you go out. So that's a little bit of maintenance on this guy. Setup wise, so me and Roman both fish this, and we both use a big swim bait rod.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about your setup first?
Yeah. So I like to use I use a Abu Garcia Revo Toro S60. It's a 300 size reel, and I think it's a 5:3 to 1. I like that low gear ratio because it gives me a lot of torque. So each crank doesn't feel so hard when I'm kind of towing that, because that shape is causing a lot of drag in the water. And then a lot of the times I'll be fishing that with the camera. So I have the camera and the A-rig. I'll usually troll it because it's so heavy. And then, but doing it when I do need to put some power into it, that reel, it's got a big knob on it. It's kind of works. It's like a what is it called?
Power knob.
Power knob, exactly, dude. It works. I don't think I could do that with the faster reel without like pumping it up and then reeling it down, pumping it up and then reeling it down. Because if you try to straight up reel it with a faster reel, you're gonna just destroy it.
Yeah, it'll sound like a meat grinder. You gotta have so I'll go over my setup. That's very similar to mine, 5-to-1 gear ratio. I fish the Lexa 300, which I like this size reel. We're putting heavy line on it. 65-pound line's what I use. So you got to go with a little bigger size reel to get a lot of line on there. This 65-pound braid's pretty big. So I use 65-pound. This is the line I use. It's a Suffolk's 65-pound braid. And Lexus 300. And on this particular one, I'm using a Daiwa 8-foot rod. And when you go to select, if you're going to buy an A-rig rod or you already have a swim bait rod, make sure it has this long handle. Because when you cast an A-rig, it's not like casting your swim bait. You're not flipping it with one hand. It's almost like you're at the beach casting it out. You're holding it down low, holding it up high, and you're whipping this thing because this thing's a beast, especially when you're casting this thing into wind. You've got to really get some muscle behind it. And if you're just trying to lay it all day, you're gonna have a sore arm.
So true.
You want one with a long handle that you can get some leverage on to whip this thing out there. It's a beast. One trick that I know about this thing that I like to do is cast it out, right? And I know we're going over 8 o'clock here, but I think I have at least another 10 minutes of information.
That's fine. We're good. Keep it rolling.
Okay, cool. So the A-rig, you're going to try. It's actually not very hard to fish. It's actually a pretty easy lure to fish. I think this is easier than fishing the finesse stuff, like the little tiny swim baits. And I think this is a pretty easy thing to fish. It's a big investment. It costs a lot of money, but I think it's going to catch you big fish, and it's a pretty easy thing. The way I fish it is basically it's just a cast and retrieve. I'm going to cast this thing out as far as I can get it. And when it hits the water, one thing I like to do is right when it hits the water, you give it, let me get this thing over here. You give it, when it hits the water, it's going to hit the water like this, right? And you don't want this thing just fluttering down on loose line because it'll get tangled up. These swim baits can attach to each other. It could go nose down, and the hook could hook onto the willow blades. So what I like to do is right when this thing hits the water, splash down, I give it a little crank so the line pulls it into the, and I take all the slack out of it so it's not slack line so that when it's going down, it's in the position you're going to retrieve it in. So that it prevents it from getting tangled up, and it's ready to go right when it hits the bottom. It's not going to hit the bottom and get all tangled up with all the lures. So right when it hits the water, a quick crank to take the slack out of your line and get it to drop like this with no slack versus like this, where it's going to get wrapped in your line or wrapped with the other baits. And then basically you're going to fish it like everything we do with spotties. That thing's going to go all the way down to the bottom. I like to do 2 quick cranks to get it up off the bottom. And then you're going to retrieve it in pretty slow, probably a little faster than you would a swim bait because it's heavy and you got to keep it up off the bottom. So you're going to try to find that speed where you're not on the bottom, but you're right above the bottom. And while you're reeling that in, change your speed rate a little. Give it a quick crank. And what that'll make it do is it'll make these arms suck in. And then when you slow down, they go back out, and it makes this whole school of fish look like it's pulsating.
Yep.
So while you're going through the water, you crank a little faster, slow it down, and it makes it pulsate. And also, just as important as a swim bait, don't forget to pause. Sometimes you're going to go, pause, and then right off the bottom really quick. Because a lot of the time, those fish will be behind it, it'll pause, and then it comes back up, and they'll nail it at that point right there. Just like everything with spotties, the pause always counts on these things.
That's so good. Like I like the idea of like the pulse, like the pausing it so it has a chance to expand. That's excellent. That's kind of what you do with the skirts.
Yeah, and another thing I do is if I'm fishing the rod off to the right, say, I'm reeling, and then sometimes I'll switch over to the left while I'm reeling it in. So it gives this thing a change of an angle.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like a robotic lure going through the water. You want this thing to look like, if you watch a school of fish, they don't just go in a perfect straight line all the time.
That's true.
They're twisting, they're turning, they're looking. So you want to try to mimic that. So I'll switch sides, pulsate, and keep it off the bottom. And remember, very important when it hits the water to get that slack out so it doesn't get all tangled, because if this thing gets tangled in a line or they're all wrapped together, you're probably not going to get a fish. So you want to make sure your presentation is just right for it. And this thing can get tangled up. But time on the water, you'll learn how to fish this thing. And I think it's one of the easier baits to fish. Areas you don't want to fish this thing in are any areas with rocks. Ask Roman, ask anybody that's fished a rig. When this thing gets snagged up, it gets snagged up bad. And the reason we're fishing this 65-pound braid is so that if it does get snagged up, we can work the angles and try to jerk this thing off the bottom. That's why we use this heavy line. We don't want to lose a $50 lure.
Yeah. Give me a second, Brian. I think the stream is acting up. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Switch over to this view. Sorry, we're having issues with the stream, guys. Give me 1 second. Let's see. I think I know what's happening. This guy here. Browser source and main screen. There we go. And
Nice
then,
wipe.
all right, I'm waiting for you to clear up on your side. You're coming in super grainy. Let me just have my machine do a little bit less, and that should help it clear up a little bit. Let's see.
Darn Ramona internet.
There we go. I think that might have helped it. So let's try this again. Going back to split screen. There we go. It's clearing up a little bit.
Are we good?
I think so. Let's see. Okay.
Better?
Yeah, you're still kind of frozen. Oh man.
Oh no. Do you want me to go try to change something on my end? I can probably go yell at everybody to turn off Netflix. That's my.
Oh, there you go. You're catching up. You're catching up. There you go. Okay, cool. Okay, you're unfrozen. Okay, let's
awesome.
Keep it going.
Okay, where did I leave off? What did you last hear?
I was a little
okay, so I was probably talking about retrieval.
Yes.
And I was talking about all the variables that can happen.
Left to right, so it changes the angle.
Left to right. Yep. Okay. But I was saying this is an awesome bait even for beginners because I think it's pretty easy to fish. It's just a cast and retrieve bait. Oh, I can see I'm grainy, huh?
Yeah, it'll clear up.
Okay.
It'll clear up. I'm gonna put you full screen. I'm gonna run outside real quick and just make sure that we're not downloading stuff on this side too. Here you go. Just keep going. You should be good. Go full. I'm gonna put you full screen. Go for it.
So I hope you guys heard this. So I fish a 65-pound braid on this, and mainly I fish that just so that if it does get snagged up, I can rip this thing off the bottom. Plus, when you're casting this thing, there's so much tension when you're whipping this thing out here. You want to go with a heavy line, or this thing will break off. I normally just fish the braid directly to the A-rig. Sometimes, if it's tournament day and you want to do something extra special, I'll put a 30-pound or 40-pound fluorocarbon leader on this. But everyday fishing, I'm always just straight braid to the A-rig. Fluorocarbon, very rarely. Like I said, tournament day, if I think it's going to make a little difference, I'll put a fluorocarbon leader on it. But that's my setup, and that's how I fish the A-rig.
Perfect. Okay, so I got a question from Kevin. He says,
yes.
What action was that 8-foot rod?
Okay, so I think this rod is specifically made for swim baits. It's an 8-foot rod. It's extra heavy, and it's I don't think it's a fast action. It doesn't say on this. I don't know if it is. It's rated 20 to 50 pounds.
Yeah, I also do extra heavy, and my rod's rated for I think 2 to 8 ounce lures. It's a Phoenix Blank. He's kind of bait and tackle version, I guess. It's basically like a big swim bait rod. Yeah.
Yeah, big swim.
Extra heavy.
This one, and I actually have a second A-rig set up where I use a Tranks 300 with a Dobbins rod, and that's a 9-foot rod. So if I'm casting into wind or I want to get that huge cast, I'll bring that rod out. It's just so big though I don't bring it out. This is probably the more normal setup I fish with.
Interesting.
But 300 size reel, swim bait rod. Just make sure it has this big handle. That's the key to this. And I know these things can be kind of hard to cast into the wind. When you cast this thing into the wind, you have to be pretty good not to get a bird's nest on these things because it wants to come right back towards you. They're really wind heavy.
Awesome. Okay, so it's not clearing up yet. So I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna put the screen on mine full screen while you can see if maybe somebody's downloading something on your
Give me
side.
2 minutes.
Yeah, I'm gonna explain a little bit, guys, how I tie my A rig, and then when for Zach, and then when Bryan comes back, he can tell you how he ties his A rig. So, I usually fish my A rig straight braid, so I have 65 pound braid on my reel, and I tie it straight to either it's like a 250 pound clip that I use to clip the Go Fish Cam on, or when I'm not using the Go Fish Cam, I unclip it and I clip it right to the front of the A rig. It's a swivel, so I don't care which way it spins. But also, since I'm tying braid to the lure, I do a Palomar knot, just a single Palomar knot. It's worked great for me. I haven't had any issues with the knot failing. I don't use a leader on an A rig just because, I mean, your leader's not going to help. You can see the metal arms. So, Bryan, it looks like you're back. I'm going to go split screen with you, and then maybe tell us a little bit about what knots you use to tie this and line.
Okay, so I made sure there's no Netflix going on. Hopefully it clears. Oh, I still look super grainy, huh?
I know. Yeah.
Darn it. It's such an important part too. So the knot I use, I usually use a double knot where you're actually folding the line in half. And if you take like your San Diego jam knot and you look up how to tie a double San Diego jam knot, it's basically folding the line in half when you enter it into it first, and it doubles the amount of line that goes around the bait. Have you tied that one before, Roman?
I have it now.
Okay. Is my audio and everything working good?
The audio is working great. It's just it's clearing up. It's clearing up. Oh, weird.
Oh, good.
No, it's still.
Did it clear up?
I cleared up for a second, but the sound is good.
Okay. So I use double San Diego jam knot, or the knot I use is that Berkeley trilene knot that I talked about in the past. I also double that up.
Are you using a double San Diego jam knot with braid?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It creates a pretty big ball on the end of it, I guess you'd say, when you get that 65 pound braid. But it's like wrapping it around the A rig 4 times, 4 lines around it versus just the standard 2.
Right.
So the knot size, I'm not too worried about the presentation of that knot because the top of the A rig's so big. I'm more worried about the strength of it.
Interesting.
So and mainly the strength for getting it off the bottom if it gets snagged. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I use a double San Diego jam knot.
Okay, so I've never heard of the
same thing as San Diego jam, just doubled.
I've never heard of the jam knot with braid. I usually do only Palomar knots because the jam knot might slip. But I don't know about the double. Maybe the double jam knot works well. But
and I also use the Berkeley knot a ton too.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so yeah, the knot I recommend to be the Palomar knot because that's the one I use. So double San Diego jam knot. You basically take your line and whatever line length you think you need to tie your normal San Diego jam knot, you fold it over, and then now you have double the line, and you do a regular San Diego jam knot, but it was just doubled over line. By the end, you should have an extra two threads coming off, right? 2 tags. Oh no, a tag and a loop coming off. Yep.
Tag and a loop. Yep. Yeah. So
you're gonna make 3
tough
cuts.
Knot to tie.
Yep.
But for me, it's worked pretty solid. I was just like having all that line attached to it.
Well, that makes sense.
$50 lure, right?
Yeah, I've heard of the double San Diego jam knot with like mono on big swim baits. Makes sense.
Yep.
And then Johnny has a question. He says, Bryan, does Bryan fish the XL or the regular A rig? So this one he showed is the A rig, but for saltwater I recommend the XL. What do you think?
Fish
Bryan?
both of them.
Fish both of them.
I fish both. Regular one's probably my more common because of that. Remember I was talking about that pulsating I like to do?
Yep.
With the heavy duty one, the arms are about twice as thick.
Yep.
And it doesn't pulsate like that. So I usually use the regular, but the XL also works great.
The XL is slightly longer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
It's heavier duty.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, so option is get one of each.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. All right. Yeah, it's still not clearing up.
Oh man, I'm so bummed that my stream is choppy.
I don't know what's happening. So
we'll have to work on it next week. See what happens.
Yeah, always something new, right? maybe
Yeah, I have more to talk about, but because it's late and the stream is kind of cutting out, maybe I could answer some quick questions on Friday night or something.
Okay, that would probably work.
If they have A-rig questions.
Yeah. Okay, so how about we just give them like 2 minutes for 2 minutes of questions? If so, the next question.
Oh yeah, no problem.
So, okay.
If they don't mind seeing me grainy.
Yeah. So pop in your questions, guys. If you have any questions specifically about A-rigs or the stuff we've been talking about today, and let's get those answered for you real quick, and then after that we'll end the stream. Let you guys do what you got to do, and see how it goes. So I'm gonna give you guys about 2 minutes. And I guess the delay is about a minute for me, or like 30 seconds for them to hear that and actually say something. So cheers.
Cheers.
Let's see. Yep. Okay. So I don't see any questions come through yet. All right. So if you're hearing me say there's no questions came through. Okay, there we go.
Hopefully I already answered them all.
Yep.
I was thorough on it. I wish my stream would have came through better because I know that A-rig's super important. So
Salty,
if we want to touch bases on it again.
Oh yeah. Leonard said, first of all, Salty said you're just hiding your identity because you're giving away good information.
No.
And then
I'm
Leonard,
much an open book. I think you guys have figured that out.
Yeah. Then Leonard asked if we went over the weights, the sizes.
Oh gosh, thank you, Leonard. Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Leonard.
So here it comes. I'm bringing out the whiteboard.
Here we go.
So,
Let me go full screen on you. Hopefully
thank you so much for bringing that up. So what I like to do is
shift to your right.
Oh. Can you see it on the screen, or should I just talk?
Shift over to your right more. There you go. Right there. Perfect.
Okay. So I use a 1/8 on the 5 arms and then a 3/8 on the trailer. And the reason I like it light like that is because normally in the bays, we're only fishing maybe 12, 15 feet, maybe 19 feet sometimes. And if I keep it nice and light, it'll stay up off the bottom a little better.
Interesting.
And
yep.
So a lot of the time I don't do like cool bait underspins all the way around it. I'll eliminate some of the flash. So I just use, let me pull this up. I just use a standard 1/8 inch dart, which looks like this when you buy it. It's actually also a cool bait. They make these actually without the underspin in them. And it's a cool bait 1/8 inch dart. And I'll do 4 of those. And then on the back, I'll put on a 3/8 cool bait underspin.
Interesting.
If that one's not getting bit, then I have a second one where I load it up with 1/8 and they all have the underspin on them.
Oh,
so
nice.
It depends on the conditions.
Like
if
a
I'm
mega
not
flashy
catching fish
one.
on that,
Yep.
I'll throw out the one with a little bit bigger flash, same weights, just more flash to it. And when you load this thing up with underspins all the way around, plus the ones it already comes with, that's a lot of flash.
That's a lot of flash, yeah.
So
let me tell you guys how I like to fish mine. So I do let's see, I have 2 configurations. When I do a little bit of freshwater stuff, I want to keep with the 3 hook maximum. So I just have it rigged up that way. I'll do either 3/8 of an ounce on the bottom 2 arms and like a 1/4 ounce in the middle, the long one. And I'll do 2 size 5 willow blades. And I'm doing gold blades right now. And then when I want to have a saltwater setup, I do 3/8 on the bottom 2 of the square in that 5-point die, like you said. And on the top 2, I do 1/4 ounce, and the center I'll also do a 1/4 ounce. Just because that way I know it's always going to swim that way with the 2 heavier weights on the bottom.
If you're going to put heavier weights, make sure you put them on the bottom.
Yeah.
Because that thing will drag that way.
Yeah.
I try to, the way I fish, I like to keep it as light as I can. That's why I use the 1/8. I like it super light.
On some instances, I'll do what's called like the little teaser head, where it's like super light. It's like 1/8. I'll do 1/8 on top, and I'll do 1/4 ounce on the bottom and 1/8 in the center. So basically, it's still not
so
super light.
Of adding that extra weight is it's a lot easier to cast too. Like yours is probably sounds like almost like an ounce heavier than mine, and that'll make a difference in casting it. So if you're new to it too, the A-rig kind of takes some time to learn how to cast that thing. If you load it up with a little bit heavier weight, you might have a little better success casting. The light one's sometimes tough to cast with that 65-pound braid.
Yeah, I think also part of that has to do with just like the rod I'm using to throw, it's just you kind of need that weight to load it up. Otherwise, it feels like the lure's too light to load up the rod.
Yep. The light one is tougher to throw. That's for sure. I've noticed that. And I do have one that I have sometimes rigged up where I have 2 3/8, a half, an eighth, just kind of how you do it. If I'm fishing deeper, like if I'm fishing in a jetty, which I don't fish that a lot there. Yeah. But if you want to get down deeper, experiment with the weights, you know.
Perfect. Ryan's like, Hyder says he doesn't cast his A-rig and mostly trolls it. That makes sense. Cool. All right. So that's pretty much the questions that came through. Awesome.
Cool, guys.
Wait, let's see. Okay, so Johnny says he puts 3/8 underspin all around. I think I need to switch some stuff up. Yeah, Johnny. So if anything, I hope this like stream gave you some ideas, some other things to try. You know, just another excuse to get out there and fish.
Yeah.
You know, try something different.
But if you guys haven't got the A-rig, don't be intimidated by that thing. I think it's one of the easier things to fish. I know if you're a shore pounder, that may not be a very good one because you're dragging it into the rocks. And it's hard to get the big cast out of that thing. Maybe tough shore pounding. But if you're in a kayak or a boat, I think that's a good way to catch a big fish, and it's not super complicated.
Awesome. So last question, since it just came in. Zach says, Zach is asking, have you ever tried putting a different color on each arm for scientific purposes?
Okay, yeah, I've got a friend, actually the owner of Cool Baits, and every time I bring him out, he's the luckiest fisherman in the world. He brings out an A-rig, and it looks like a Rastafarian A-rig. I'm like, what the heck is that? He's got 5 different colors of the weirdest colors you've ever seen. And the guy throws that thing out there and catches 3 calicos at once on it.
Oh, wow. So, interesting.
We're still on our color theory, Zach, so I don't know. We're going to figure that out. But normally I fish 4 the same and 1 oddball. But yes, I have seen people fish the Rastafarian style A-rig.
That's cool. Interesting. Cool. Nice. Okay, cool. So that's pretty much it for the questions, guys. Thanks for participating. Let me see. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's do some quick shout outs, I guess.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I haven't got to see the chat all night.
So I know, right? So
awesome guys for coming and listening to me and Roman speak for what, almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, right.
Mackerel.
It's been a good show.
I'm super sorry, guys, about my stream. I know it's frustrating watching somebody talk and it's all choppy. Well, but hopefully we can get that going better next week.
Yeah, we'll sort it out. It might be like a limitation as far as like yeah, we'll sort it out after this. All right, guys. So
I think I know what it is.
Uh-oh. So I'm gonna kick on the music and start phasing us out. Here we go. All right, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back here tomorrow, and we're gonna be interviewing Captain Scotty from Brother Sport Fishing. Also, we had a awesome donation from Captain Dan for tomorrow's for Friday's trivia night. This is a book called At the Rails. It retails for about $100 on Amazon. It's brand new,
smokes
in the plastic. It's for tuna, wahoo, yellowtail, and dorado. Locations, species, methods, techniques, battle stories, and history. Really cool book. Yeah. So this is a prize for this Friday, guys. So make sure you rewatch this stream. Hope you've been following all week, because a lot of the questions for the stream for the trivia night are going to come out of tomorrow's interview, this episode that you just watched, and also the streaming that we did yesterday. If you got lost yesterday, I'm sorry. I've been making a lot of changes, but we do have let's see. Does it work? Didn't work. Okay. We do have a lot of what is it called? Sorry, we do have the fishyhour.com website. That's gonna take you to wherever you need to go on that day. I made the website super simple. It's just fishyhour.com. It's gonna load the schedule. It's gonna say Monday, we're on YouTube. Tuesday, we're on Twitch. It's gonna have each day, and it's gonna tell you which platform we're on, and you're gonna be able to click at the end of that sentence, and it'll say on YouTube or on Twitch. You click on that YouTube, it's gonna bring you here to the live stream, whatever live stream is happening on that day. So I know Aaron got lost yesterday. I'm sorry you weren't able to find us, but this is how we're gonna do it for now, just because it's basically like an ongoing directory. Okay, so if you watched yesterday and helped me get to, I think we blew past the 50 subscribers on Twitch, and we got to like 60. So thank you. We're getting there. Super good. That actually unlocked a couple of things that I'm gonna be able to make some of you guys VIP, so you can help me with the stream, and it's a cool functionality that we unlocked. And then on our next goal is gonna be to get Fishy Hour with Rum in this channel to 1,000 subscribers. Okay, so it seems like a long way, but we're already at 140 something. So we'll get there eventually. So thanks for sharing the stream. Thanks for your help. And let me get Bryan back up here. Looks like he cleared up a little bit. No, I didn't clear up yet, but let's get it back on here. Okay, cool. All right, so music just started and ended, and this is the broadcast that never ends. So any last things you want to say before we sign off?
No, hey guys, so sorry about my internet. I apologize. Hopefully we'll get this thing sorted out. Next show will be better with the internet wise. Thanks guys for calling in and giving me your reports. I'll try to crunch these numbers. If you have any other numbers you want to put, you can put them on Discord or relay them to me and Roman somehow. Discord's probably your best way. And we'll try to figure out the science behind the swim baits. So thanks, MMFC. I will see you guys next Wednesday.
Perfect. Awesome. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
I forgot my catch line. And get out there and snag grass and catching bass.
Nice. Snagging grass and catching bass. There we go.
That's right.
That's awesome. All right, I'm gonna switch over to full screen for me. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 7. Interviewing with Captain Scotty from Blood Sport Fishing. Good night, and see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Woo! Oh yeah, Discord in like 2 minutes. I'll see you guys in there. Bye. All right, cool. I ended the stream.